This is Skolola's world, a world far harsher than any child should ever know. She was only 12, yet her life already carried the weight of a lifetime of wounds. From her first breath, the streets had been her home, her mother's madness, her only inheritance. She had no father to ask about, no family to run to, no roof that belonged to her. The girl was invisible to many, except when people wanted to spit on her, mock her, or chase her away like she was dirt under their shoes. Her name was whispered with pity, often with laughter, sometimes with disgust. She had gone to school only for 2 short years, her fees paid by a kind neighbor who later vanished without a word, leaving Sholola once again outside the gate, staring through iron bars at a world that wasn't meant for her. She was clever, sharper than the children who had notebooks and uniforms, but cleverness did not feed her, did not clothe her, and certainly did not protect her mother, a beanie dot. Every day began the same. She woke to the sound of her mother's screams, wild and broken, echoing through the early streets of Lagos. A beanie would claw at the air, curse at shadows, or chase things only she could see. Skolola would rush to her, hold her by the shoulders, whisper again and again, "It's me, Mommy, it's me." When her mother calmed, they sat together at their begging spot by the roadside. People dropped coins sometimes, but far more often they dropped insults. "Dirty thing, I say, leave here," a market woman once shouted, spitting so close the spit landed by Sholola's bare toes. She didn't even flinch. Words had long ago become as normal as dust. Beside her, a beanie sat on the ground, mumbling to herself, tracing circles in the sand with one finger. Her wrapper had slipped, revealing scars and unwashed skin, but she didn't notice. She lived in another world, a world of voices and fears that no one else could see. People passed by. Some slowed their steps to look, some shook their heads, most pretended not to notice at all. Skolola felt the looks, the whispers, the laughter. They called her gutter girl, cursed child, daughter of a mad woman. But what hurt worse than all, those names, was when someone stared at her with pity, but kept walking. Pity never fed her. Pity never saved her. Her only blanket was a flattened carton under a broken kiosk at mile 12. If it rained, she shivered in the wet. If the sun burned, she baked in it until her skin ached. At night, her stomach groaned with hunger, but she pressed her knees to her chest and held her mother close, whispering to herself that tomorrow would be different. Though she didn't believe it, she still whispered. Yet, even in her pain, Skolola dreamed. She dreamed of sitting at a desk, lifting her hand to answer questions. She dreamed of wearing a uniform, even if it was second-hand. She dreamed of someone, anyone, calling her by name with kindness. She wanted her mother to sing again, like on those rare lucid days when a beanie called her princess and hummed Yoruba lullabies. Those moments were like stars that shot across the night sky, gone too quickly, but enough to keep her waiting for the next dot. And then, one afternoon, hunger gnawed deeper than usual. Her mother rocked silently, lost in her own mind. Skolola crouched beside her when a smell drifted across the road, jollof rice, spicy and hot. She followed the smell with her eyes and saw a woman at a small food stand, stirring pots, arranging plates. The woman watched Sholola. Her eyes were not hard, not mocking, not even pitying. They were curious, almost gentle. Minutes later, that woman walked across the street with a steaming takeaway plate. "What's your name?" she asked softly. Sholola kept her eyes on her dirty feet and whispered, "Shola." The woman's gaze shifted to a beanie, who was humming to a bottle like it was a child. "She's your mother?" Shola nodded. "She's sick, isn't she?" Shola nodded again. The woman didn't ask further. Instead, she held out the food. "Eat." Shola hesitated. Strangers didn't give food for free. But the woman smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'm not like the others." That day, Shola tasted meat for the first time in months. Dot. The woman's name was Auntie Linda. She returned the next day with soap and bottled water, and soon Shalola began to help her at the shop. She swept, washed dishes, and served. In return, she was fed. But Auntie Linda noticed more. One afternoon, she saw Skolola writing numbers in the sand with a stick. "Where did you learn that?" she asked. "From listening outside the school?" "Near the express," Shola replied. Auntie Linda stared at her in silence. Weeks later, she brought Shalola a small exercise book and pencils. And a little later still, she took her to a dusty public school. Skolola wore an oversized second-hand uniform that felt like a crown, carried her book like treasure, and walked into the classroom with trembling hands. She was shy, but when the teacher asked a question, she answered quickly. And when she answered, again and again the whole room turned. She was brilliant, too brilliant to be ignored. Life began to change. School by day, shop by evening, learning in every spare moment. For the first time, Skolola felt seen. She felt hope. She felt love. But just when her life seemed to be finding a rhythm, the rhythm broke. One night, Auntie Linda came home with a white envelope. "My sister in the UK finally processed my papers," she said, tears in her eyes. "After 7 years, I can travel." Skolola's heart leapt. "So we're going?" she asked, smiling. But the smile died quickly. "No, Skolola, just me." The girl froze. "What about me?" Auntie Linda sighed, her voice heavy. "I've paid your fees for this term. Maybe God will send another to help you. I've done what I can." The room grew still. Skolola wanted to beg, wanted to scream, "Please take me with you." But she only nodded, holding her plate, pretending not to tremble. 3 weeks later, Auntie Linda was gone. The next term came. No one paid. No one came for her. The headmistress called her aside and said the words she feared most. "Without fees, you can't remain." That day, Shalola stood outside the school gate for hours, clutching her nylon bag with her books, her second-hand uniform sagging on her thin frame. She stared at the road, waiting for Auntie Linda to appear, to return, to tell her it was a mistake. But she never did. She waited. Outside the school gate until the sun began to fall behind the buildings. Her uniform was dusty. Her bag hugged her side. Flies buzzed near her ear, but she didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the bend of the street where Auntie Linda had promised to return. But that bend remained empty. Skolola's stomach rumbled. Her throat burned from the dust she'd swallowed all day. Children walked past in clusters, laughing, chasing each other, their parents waiting with snacks and hugs. No one came for her. Eventually, the gateman walked up. "Little girl, it's time to go." Skolola nodded slowly. She stood, dusted herself off, and walked away. But she didn't go home. Where was home anyway? The broken kiosk she used to sleep in with her mother now had a new tenant, a drunk who threatened her with a belt the last time she tried to return there. The corner by the bakery where a beanie used to beg was now occupied by 2 boys who sniffed glue and fought anyone who looked at them wrong. The streets had changed while she was gone. The only thing that hadn't changed was her mother. Still mad, still barefoot, still talking to ghosts and demons in the air. When Shalola found her by the gutter that night, her mother was trying to feed a dead pigeon with gar soaked in brown rainwater. "Mommy, it's me. Let's go somewhere safe," Skola whispered. But her mother only hissed and slapped her. Skolola wiped the blood from her lip with the back of her hand and sat down beside her anyway. They spent the night curled on the pavement, surrounded by cigarette butts and mosquito bites. Her mother laughed in her sleep. Skolola didn't sleep at all. The next morning, she wore her school uniform again, sheddied her books in a black nylon, and walked back to the school. She waited outside the gate, Maybe they would change their minds. Maybe someone would help her. But when the head mistress passed, she paused and frowned. "Why are you here again? I told you no fees, no school. I'll pay." "I will," Skolola stammered. "How? You and that crazy woman don't even eat well." The words hit like a slap. Teachers passed. Parents stared. Skola, quote, S cheeks burned with shame. "Please, Ma, let me just sit at the back. I won't make noise." The woman shook her head. "Don't disgrace yourself. This is not charity. Leave." And that was it. The gates closed. Skolola sat by the wall and cried into her book until the letters blurred. Days turned into weeks. She tried returning to the food stand, but it had a new owner now. Auntie Linda was gone for good. The new woman chased her off. She sold her last pair of decent sandals for N300 and used it to buy bread and garage. Her uniform faded into gray. Her exercise book got wet in the rain one night, and the ink ran until all her notes became unreadable. People stopped seeing her as that smart girl. Now she was just another street girl, just another shadow on the roadside. One evening, while trying to find somewhere dry to sleep, she saw a boy, no older than 9, light a match and smoke something wrapped in paper. He looked at her and said, "Come join us. If it make you forget, say you hungry." She shook her head and walked away. Her hunger was loud, but her fear of becoming like those boys was louder. She still had one treasure left, her mind. And somehow she still believed that one day, just one day, it would all change. She couldn't help herself. No matter how many times they chased her away, insulted her, or mocked her, Skola kept going back. Every morning, while other children were tying their shoelaces and tucking in crisp white shirts, Skola would find her way to the back fence of City Crest Academy, a private school that looked like a palace from her side of the world. The walls were painted gold. The windows had polished glass. The students wore blazers and sparkling shoes, their names stitched neatly onto their uniforms. She didn't belong there, not even close. But it didn't stop her. There was one window cracked open behind a classroom that had a small ledge she could stand on. It was next to an old mango tree where no one ever looked. That was her secret place. From there, she could see everything: the chalkboard, the math problems, the teacher explaining vowels. Skolola would mouth the answers quietly to herself, clutching a broken pencil stub like it was sacred. Her notebook had long been destroyed by rain, so she wrote on scraps of paper. She scavenged from garbage bins, old flyers, tissue boxes, anything with a clean side. Each day she stayed until the bell rang. Then she'd vanish before someone spotted her. But one Monday she wasn't fast enough. The teacher noticed her, a ragged girl with bright eyes peeking from behind the window. "Hey, who's that?" the woman yelled. Skolola froze. A student turned, pointed, and said with disgust, "It's that crazy girl again, the one who follows us." The class burst into laughter. The teacher stormed to the back and opened the door. "What do you want, Anne? Who sent you here?" Skolola stammered. "I just want to learn." "Please, just listen from outside. Are you mad? Do you think this is a public place?" "No, Ma, but I won't disturb anyone. I promise." "Go and tell your mother to pay school fees first," the teacher barked. "If you even know who your mother is." Skolola, quote, S. Lips parted, but no words came out. The teacher grabbed a stick from the table and raised it. Skolola turned and ran so fast she didn't feel the tears stinging her cheeks until she reached the next street. She didn't give up. The next day, she found another school, Bright Scholars Academy, less fancy, but still guarded. She didn't try the window this time. Instead, she crouched outside a broken part of the fence and listened. When children recited their times tables, she whispered along. When they chanted words in English, she repeated after them. Sometimes she even corrected them under her breath. One morning, a boy noticed her and threw a stone. "Witch, go away, you quote, re-distracting us." Skolola didn't flinch. The stone hit her shoulder, but she held her tears. Another child laughed and shouted, "She's mad like her mummy. Go and learn in psychiatric hospital." Still, she came the next day and the day after that. But pain has a way of piling up. One afternoon, a security guard saw her and dragged her by. The arm. "Who are you? You're always sneaking around like a thief." "I'm not a thief, sir. I just want to learn." He didn't listen. He pushed her to the ground and warned, "Next time I see you here, I'll beat you." As she limped away, Skolola looked up at the building, the bright walls, the desks, the blackboard. Everything she longed for, yet everything she couldn't touch. She sat under a tree and began writing multiplication tables in the dust with astick. When the wind blew them away, she started again. That night, as her mother babbled beside her in sleep, Skolola looked at the stars. "God," she whispered, "why do you make me so smart and then lock the doors to school? Did you give me this brain just to suffer?" There was no answer, just the distant honking of traffic and the quiet sobbing of a child, desperate for more than survival. The first time Skola carried a tray of water on her head, her neck nearly snapped from the weight. She was barefoot. The tray was rusted. The sachets of pure water were barely cold, but they were all she could get from Mamodoris's shop on credit. "Don't break any." "Oh," Madoris had warned, "if one falls, you pay. If I see you sitting to rest, you pay." Skolola had nodded. She was used to rules that hurt. She adjusted the tray and stepped into the sun. The Legos road didn't care that she was 12. It didn't care that her feet were blistered or that her shoulders trembled under the heat. All it cared about was hustle. The pure water business was war. Grown women shoved her aside, boys twice her. Size called her small mad girl and stole her customers. Buses almost crushed her. Drivers yelled at her, but she kept moving. Every time she sold a sachet, she'd whisper under her breath, "5 naira closer to food." Her goal was simple. Feed her mother, Dot. That was it. Nothing fancy, no dreams, no fantasies, just bread and a car so her mother wouldn't go hungry. By midday, her legs were shaking. Her lips cracked. Her body begged for rest. She found a corner under a faded billboard and sat. She had sold 12 sachets. That was N120. If she sold 10 more, she'd have enough to buy Gary and okra. A man walked past, saw her, and dropped N200 into her tray. "Go buy something, little one," he said. She blinked. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. But the moment he turned the corner, a teenage boy snatched the money from the tray and ran. She screamed and gave chase, but had vanished into the chaos of the market. Skolola stopped. Her chest heaved. Her eyes burned. She sat by the gutter and sobbed. People walked past. No one looked twice. That evening, she returned to the roadside where her mother sat, humming to herself and clapping like a child. Skolola forced a smile. "Mommy, I brought bread." Her mother looked at her confused. "Who are you? Who are you?" "The angel with black wings." Skolola sat beside her. "No, Mommy. I'm Skolola, your daughter." Her mother giggled. "My daughter is a star. She fell from Thesky and drowned in a bottle of oil. That's what they told me." Shola held her gently and tore the bread into small pieces, feeding her slowly. She didn't eat. She was too tired, Dot. Later that night, Skola found a broken mirror by the kiosk they sometimes slept near. She stared into it. Her face was sunburned, her eyes swollen, her lips bleeding from too much heat. She looked nothing like the students in the school she watched. And yet, when she whispered math questions to herself, she still got the answers right. "When you divide 6 by 3, what do you get?" she asked herself quietly. 2. She smiled. No matter how much the world tried to break her, her mind was still sharp. Her fire still burned, and that was enough to keep her going. The next day, she was back on the road, tray full, feet raw, heart steady. She was selling water, but in her heart, she was still chasing something bigger. A chance. Just one chance to prove that the daughter of a mad woman didn't have to die in the streets. Shalola wasn't supposed to beth her. Queen's Crest International School had tall, polished gates guarded by men in navy blue uniforms with radios clipped to their belts. Children arrived in air-conditioned SUVs escorted by drivers in white gloves. The walls shimmered with fresh paint. The glass windows reflected the sun like diamonds. It was a school for the rich, the elite. Definitely not for the barefoot daughter of a roadside madwoman. But Scola had seen it one too many times from afar. And today something inside her said, "Go closer." She had no money, no plan, and no right. But she had eyes filled with longing. So she crept around the side fence where bush and weeds grew wild. She found a small gap near a drainage pipe and slid in, brushing off thorns as she slipped through. Her heart pounded like a war drum. She expected to be caught immediately, but no one saw her. She walked past flower beds, hiding behind trees, ducking every time she saw a teacher or student. Eventually, she found a quiet spot behind a large mango tree near the back field. From there, she could see one of the junior classrooms through a winding open window. She crouched low, pulled out a pencil from her pocket, and began copying the words she heard onto a scrap of nylon. She was halfway through, sounding out a difficult English passage, when she heard a voice behind her. "You're the girl they always chase away, right?" Scolola's heart stopped. She spun around. A girl about her age stood there, her hair braided in neat cornrows, her uniform spotless, her name tag sparkled. Jessica AGU. "I didn't mean any harm," Scola stammered, backing away. I was just listening." Jessica tilted her head. "Why?" Scolola blinked, confused. "Because I want to learn." Jessica walked closer. "You don't go to school?" "No, my mother. She's sick. We live on the streets." Jessica looked down. Her polished black shoes made no sound in the soft grass. "People laugh at me, too," she said quietly. "They say I'm dumb, that my dad paid the school to keep promoting me." Scolola looked up, surprised. "You?" Jessica nodded. "I don't understand anything. They teach in class. Everyone's always ahead of me, so I sit out here during lunch alone." A long silence passed. Then Jessica smiled. "Do you want to sit?" Scolola hesitated. Jessica sat first and patted the ground beside her. Scolola slowly lowered herself to the grass. Jessica opened her bag and pulled out a textbook. "Can you teach me this?" "I don't get it." Zolo looked at the page. Fractions. She studied it for a moment, then gently took the book. "Okay, so look. When you see 1/2 and 1/4, they don't have the same denominator." Jessica listened wide-eyed as Shola broke it down. Within minutes, Jessica was solving problems she had struggled with all down term. She gasped. "I understand. I finally get it." Scolola smiled shilly. "You're not dumb," Jessica grinned, "and you're not just smart. You're amazing." They sat under the mango tree for over an hour. When the bell rang, Jessica stood. "Will you come tomorrow?" she asked. Scolola hesitated. "They quote El Chase me. I don't belong here." Jessica narrowed her eyes. "Wait here." She ran off. A few minutes later, she returned with the school's security man following closely behind. "This is my friend," Jessica said firmly. "Her name is Scolola. She'll be here tomorrow, during lunch. Let her in." The man looked confused. "But she's not. She's my friend," Jessica repeated. "And my daddy owns this school. You have a problem with that?" The man blinked and said nothing. Jessica turned to Skolola. Same time tomorrow. Okay. Skolola nodded slowly, still not believing what had just happened. As she left the school, she felt something new. Not fear, not shame, hope. That night, as her mother sang to a broken bottle and danced barefoot in the dark, Skolola sat by the gutter and prayed. God, I met someone today. She saw me. She didn't call me dirty or mad. She listened. Please let me see her again. Let this not be a dream. Then she slept with a smile on her face. The first in a very, very long time. They met under the mango tree every single day. Same time, same spot. Skolola came barefoot in her torn brown gown, clutching a plastic bag with torn papers and a blunt pencil. Jessica came in her ironed uniform with a lunchbox packed by the cook. Two girls from two different worlds. But when they sat under that tree, nothing else mattered. Their friendship grew like a fire in the cold. Jessica laughed more now. She paid attention. In class, not because the teachers finally made sense, but because Skola did. Don't read it like Arabot, Skola would whisper. Read it like you're talking to your best friend. Jessica tried, stumbled, then tried again. And when she got it, Skola clapped with joy like she'd won a trophy. Jessica's eyes would shine. Noon never claps for me, she once confessed. Skolola blinked. But you're rich. Don't people celebrate you? Jessica shook her head. Only when I dress well or when my dad hosts parties. Not when I get answers, right? Not when I trip on. That day, Skola held her hand and said something she never thought she would say. You deserve more. Jessica didn't say anything. She just held Skola's hand tighter. One afternoon, as they shared Jessica's spaghetti and plantain under the tree, Jessica asked, Do you have a best friend? You, Skola replied without thinking. Jessica smiled. Me too. Then her smile faded. Shola, what if my daddy finds out? What if he says we can't be friends? Skola paused. Her spoon hovered over the lunchbox. Then you'll forget me. That's how it works. No, Jessica snapped. I won't. He'll be angry, Skola said softly. Rich don't want their daughters sitting with girls like me. My mother begs on the road, Jessica. Some people say she's cursed. They think I'm cursed too. Jessica was quiet. Then she leaned forward and whispered, You're not cursed. You're magic. Skolola blinked, stunned. Magic? Jessica nodded firmly. Yes. Who else can teach better than all my teachers? Who else can make me laugh when I feel her like crying? Who else can make a place like this feel like home? Skola's chest grew tight. Her eyes welled, but she blinked fast to hold back the tears. Magic, Jessica whispered again. That's what you are. They started sharing more than food and textbooks. Jessica brought Skolola a hairbrush, Asmal blue notepad, even a pair of slippers once, though rarely wore them, afraid someone would steal them on Thea Street. Skolola, in return, told stories, real ones and made-up ones. Stories about stars falling in love with street kids, about girls who found schools and dreams, and about mothers who got healed by rain. Jessica listened like every word mattered, and it did. For the first time in her life, Jessica didn't feel alone, and for the first time, Skola didn't feel invisible, but they kept Ite a secret. Jessica didn't tell her teachers, didn't tell her classmates, definitely didn't tell her father, Chief Agu, one of the most feared and respected billionaires in Lagos. She didn't know how to. How do you tell a man who ran oil companies and sat on TV panels that your best friend was a street girl with no shoes? And so, under the mango tree, the two girls built a world of their own. A world where names didn't matter, where background didn't exist, where a billionaire's daughter and a mad woman's child could dream the same dream together. One day, Skola didn't show up. Jessica sat under the tree waiting. She checked her watch. 30 minutes, then an hour. Still no Skolola. Panic crept into her chest. Had something happened to her? Had she fallen sick, or worse? Had someone chased her again? She stood ready to run to the gate when she heard a soft voice. Jessica. She turned. There was Skolola panting, barefoot, dirt on her legs, but smiling. "I'm sorry I'm late," she said. "My mom, she had an episode, ran into the road. I had toppled her away before she got hit." Jessica rushed forward and hugged her tightly. "I thought you weren't coming," Skolola chuckled. "Even if I had to crawl, I would come." Jessica pulled back and looked her in the eye. "One day, I'll tell my dad. I promise." Skolola swallowed hard. "What if he says no?" Jessica smiled with fire in her eyes. "Then I'll scream until he says yes." That night, under the dim light of a broken street lamp, Shola lay beside her mother, who was humming to herself, holding a stone like it was a baby. Sholola stared at the sky. "God," she whispered, "I've never had a friend before. Please don't let me lose this one." She reached into her pocket and pulled out the notepad Jessica gave her. On the first page was a drawing. Two stick girls holding hands under a mango tree, one in uniform, one in rags, both smiling. Sholola traced the drawing with her finger and smiled. Then she closed her eyes. And for the first time in her life, she didn't fall asleep afraid. The morning started like any other. Jessica sat through her classes distracted, waiting for the lunch bell. Her fingers tapped her desk restlessly. Her heart was beating faster than usual. The teachers praised her improved performance. She had answered 2 questions correctly in literature. Even the principal mentioned it during assembly, but Jessica didn't care because none of them knew the reason behind the change. It wasn't tutoring from an expensive private coach. It was Sholola, the barefoot girl with a powerful mind and a heart bigger than anyone she'd ever known. Jessica couldn't wait to see her. At exactly 12:35 p.m., she was already under the mango tree with 2 spoons, a lunchbox, and Skola's favorite, biscuit tucked into the corner. Then she heard it, the low hum of black SUVs rolling into the compound. Students turned to look. Teachers froze mid-sentence. Even the security men adjusted their uniforms and saluted. Jessica's stomach dropped. "Daddy, why is she here?" Chief Algo didn't visit the school without warning. He was too busy for surprises. His name alone carried weight. His presence filled every space before he even spoke. Jessica stood quickly, brushing crumbs from her skirt. She didn't know what to do. Then, before she could act, Shola appeared, breathless, smiling, barefoot as always. "I'm here," she said. "Sorry, I had to fetch water before leaving." But Jessica wasn't smiling. Her eyes were locked on the figure stepping out of the SUV. Tall, dark-skinned, impeccably dressed in a black CF tan and leather sandals. Chief AGU, her father. Skolola followed her gaze. Her body stiffened. "Is that?" Jessica nodded slowly. "My dad. Skolola." Quota's smile vanished. Panic crashed through her chest like a wave. "I have to go," she whispered. But it was too late. Jessica, the deep voice echoed. Across the lawn. She turned. Chief AGU walked forward, followed by 2 assistants. His eyes were sharp, calculating, confused. "What are you doing out here?" he asked. Jessica swallowed hard. "I was having lunch. With who?" Chief AGU looked to his daughter's side and saw Skola, a girl in a torn gown, legs covered in dust, holding a worn-out nylon bag and a half-eaten biscuit. His brow furrowed. "Who is this?" Skola bowed her head, her mouth open, but words refused to come out. Her entire body trembled. Jessica stepped in front of her. "This is Skola. She's my friend. You're..." "What?" "She helps me. She teaches me." Chief Owl blinked. "Excuse me?" Jessica took a breath and stood taller. "The reason I've been doing well in school is because of her. She teaches me during lunch every day, and I understand her better than any teacher here." A long, heavy silence followed. Chief Ao's eyes remained fixed on the trembling girl behind his daughter. Then he asked quietly, "Who are your parents, child?" Scola barely looked up. Her voice was dry and cracked. "I don't know my father, sir. My mother, she's sick. She begs by the roadside near Oshodi. People call her mad." "We have no home." One of the assistants shifted awkwardly. Chief Ao's face remained unreadable. "You're not in school." Scola shook her head. "Why?" "No one to pay fees. My only sponsor. She left the country 2 years ago." Jessica grabbed Shawl's hand. Chief Ao watched the gesture, his daughter holding this girl's hand like a lifeline, and for the first time he softened. "You've been coming here every day, teaching her in secret." Jessica nodded. "I wanted to tell you, but I was scared." He looked at her, and for once, his voice lowered. "Scared of me?" Jessica whispered. "Scared you wouldn't let me see her again." The billionaire turned back to Scola. She flinched. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said slowly. "Take me to your mother, please." Scolola took a shaky step back. "Sir, please don't punish her. She doesn't know what I do here. She's not well. If I stop coming, I'll stay away. Just don't hurt her." "I won't, Chief," Aw said gently. "I just want to see her." Jessica looked at her father. "Promise you won't chase Zolo away." He stared at both girls, 2 children from different worlds, but somehow they had found each other. "I promise," he said. 30 minutes later, the convoy pulled into a dusty street near mile 12. Flies buzzed. The scent of burning trash hung in the air. Sholola pointed. "She's there." A woman sat on the sidewalk barefoot, rocking back and forth, laughing at nothing. Her clothes were torn, her hair matted. "That's my mommy," Scola whispered. Chief Agu was silent. He stepped down from the vehicle, walked toward the woman, and crouched beside her. "Madam," he said softly. The woman looked up. "Did you bring this guy?" "I left my wings in your car." Tears welled in Sholola's eyes. "I'm going to help her," Chief Ao said quietly. "I know people. She needs proper care." "Please," Scola said. "I don't want money. I just want her to be okay." He stood, turned to his assistant, and gave orders. "Get Dr. Aisha on the line. Psychiatric unit, full treatment, no delays." Then he turned back to Scola. "And you?" Scola's heart raced. "From today, you are not a homeless girl." She gasped. He knelt before her, placed a firm hand on her shoulder, and looked her in the eyes. "You have a father now." Scola didn't believe it at first, even as the car pulled away from the dirty street that had been her entire world. Even as she watched through the tinted glass, while her mother was gently lifted into an ambulance, headed for the best psychiatric hospital in Lagos. Even when Jessica held her hand and whispered, "You're safe now," she still thought it was a dream. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She simply stared, trying to understand how a day that started with fear had somehow ended with a billionaire calling her daughter. Chief Ao moved fast. By evening, Sholola had taken her first proper bath in years. Jessica had given her fresh pajamas. Her hair had been gently combed and packed by one of the housemates who couldn't hide her surprise when Chief Ao introduced her. "This is Scolola. She'll be staying with us from now on. Treat her with the same respect you give my daughter." The entire house froze. The girl from the street living here. But Chief Ao's tone left no room for questions. The next morning, Scola stood in front of the mirror in Jessica's room, wearing a borrowed Queen's Crest school uniform. It was new, crisp, neatly ironed. She could hardly recognize herself. Jessica clapped with delight. "You look just like me." Sholola smiled weakly. "I feel like I'm dreaming." "You're not. My daddy said it's real. He said you belong here." "But I'm the daughter of a mad woman," Scolola said, her voice trembling. Jessica shook her head. No, you're the daughter of my father now. Skolola turned slowly to the window, staring into the rising morning light. I don't know how to thank him. Jessica smiled, then thank him the only way he truly cares about how. Shine, show the world what you can do. That day, the two girls walked into Queen's Crest together. Matching uniforms, matching bags, matching smiles. Gasps followed them. Children whispered. Teachers blinked in confusion. Wasn't that the same street girl who used to hover behind windows and fences? Yes, it was, but today she walked with the daughter of the school's founder. No more sneaking, no more peeping. She had come through the front gate as a student. In class, Skola raised her hand. Every question, every lesson. She wasn't just good, she was brilliant. By the end of the day, the teachers called a meeting with the principal. Where did this girl come from? One asked. She's not just smart, she's exceptional. The principal's mild. From the street, apparently. But now she's family. Meanwhile, Chief Agu kept his promise. Skolola's mother was placed under expert psychiatric care at a private facility. Dr. Aisha assured him that Abini's condition, while critical, was treatable. We'll stabilize her, the doctor said. It will take time, but with love, medication, and structure, there's hope. Skolola visited her mother once a week. The first few times, her mother didn't recognize her. She'd shout at the wall-saw cry over invisible snakes, but on the fifth visit, she suddenly paused. She looked up at Skolola and whispered, You look like the ski. Skola burst into tears. Weeks passed. Skola adjusted to her new life slowly. She still woke up some nights gasping, thinking she was back on the sidewalk. She still flinched when someone raised a hand too quickly. But gradually her smile became freer, her laughter more frequent. She spoke during class. She made new friends. But no one ever took Jessica's place. They were sisters now, not by blood, but by bond. They shared everything. Stories, secrets, lunch, and dreams. Jessica's grades soared, her confidence bloomed, her teachers marveled, and they all knew why. Because of the girl who used to sit under the mango tree. One Friday afternoon, Chief Ao called Skola into his study. She stood nervously by the door. He gestured for her to sit. I've been watching you, he said. You've changed my daughter's life, and mine. Skolola lowered her gaze. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to learn. He chuckled. And now you will. As far as I'm concerned, you're my child, and I'll do for you what I do for Jessica. He opened a drawer and handed her a brand new tablet preloaded with all her school materials. Skolola stared at it like it was made of gold dot. Then she whispered, Thank you, sir. Thank you for seeing me. When nobody else did. He stood and placed a gentle hand on her head. You were never invisible, Skola. You just needed someone to look close enough. That night, Skola sat in the garden under the mango tree, now neatly trimmed, surrounded by clean tiles and benches. She looked up at the stars. My name is Skolola, she whispered. Daughter of no one, friend of Jessica, student of Queen's Crest. And now, she smiled, I have a father. She closed her eyes and whispered a final prayer. God, I used to ask you to make my mother better, to send me to school, to give me just one friend. You gave me all three. I don't deserve it, but thank you. She placed a hand over her heart. I promise I won't waste this chance. And so, the girl the world called daughter of the mad woman became something far greater, a symbol of hope, a walking miracle, a living answer to her own desperate prayer. And for Chief Agu, for Jessica, and for everyone who ever believed that love and education can change a life, Skolola was proof. The future had finally opened its doors, and she walked through them, head held high. No child is born worthless. Every life holds potential, with kindness, opportunity, and education. Even the most forgotten soul can rise. Skolola's story reminds us that one act of compassion can break cycles of poverty and rejection. True greatness isn't where you come from, but what you do when someone finally sees you. Believe, uplift, and never judge a child by their circumstance. We hope you enjoyed this powerful story. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share what you learned in the comments below. Your feedback means the world to us. And guess what? Another inspiring and educative story is coming your way in just a few days. So, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to be the first to watch when we upload. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and share it with your family and friends. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.